Good evening, YouTuber subscribers and friends and alike. It's Grant coming at you from the Quality Inn and Suites in Liberty Lake, Washington. I'm still here 3 days past when I delivered, just because of the beautiful root view. I'm kidding. I decided the other day I was going to take one day and stay at the hotel and kind of relax before going back, and then I realized this bed is like a cloud, and then they had a actual working hot tub downstairs, which doesn't work the greatest. It's like a 20-person huge hot tub. Has amazing jets though, but it ain't that hot. But at the time I didn't know that, and I decided to stay 3 nights. And it's okay, I go down there and sit in what is essentially a lukewarm tub with jets the jets were amazing. But it is the first hot tub that I've seen in a hotel that's been open since the pandemic started. It's been like a year since I've been able to sit in the hot tub because they closed it for what I call cooties restrictions, so to speak, because this whole virus and political cooties. Not gonna get into that whole deal of the video, but so I decided to stay, and then I'm gonna take the bus tomorrow afternoon at 5, I think it is, and go. So tomorrow will be Friday. So Friday, Saturday, all day Saturday, I'll be going through North Dakota. Let's see, tomorrow night I'll be going through Montana. Saturday I'll be going through North Dakota. Sunday morning I'll be going through parts of Minnesota and Chicago and all that, wait in Chicago, and then go to Elkhart. And I was able to get all the way to South Bend, Indiana for $100 even on the ticket, which for that many miles for $100, you know, the bad part is the 2 days, or the 1 whole day and 2 half days on the bus itself. But I decided to do that. It'd be cheaper than going by a plane ticket, and it allowed me to buy this place rent this place for 3 days. So, you know, this is what I wanted to spend some of the money that I made on, was at various different hotels to bring us my pointage up and stuff like that. And this is a choice property, so I'll get, I think at the end of this stay in a couple days here, I'll get a free night on the deal for staying that many different properties, I think it is. So, and I just happened to stay here that one night because it was convenient. It was right across the street from where I delivered. So I thought, yeah, sure, I'd stay there, you know. Once I walked in the lobby and saw kind of how the lobby was, and it wasn't a rundown hotel, and it's a pretty well taken care of property, I decided to stay here. And then once I found out the bed was like a cloud, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to stay here a couple days. So I signed up. I think 3 days was probably a little much. I probably should have just went for 2 and left, but that's okay. And then the idea is to spend the weekend on the bus, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Get there, rent a Econo Dump, an Eco Dump night at the Econo Lodge in Elkhart. When I get off the bus in South Bend, I'll just take the city buses to Elkhart. And then Monday I'm going to go down to the post office in Goshen and get my stuff that I ordered. And then Monday afternoon I'm going to take a load for Pinnacle, since I'm all signed up. I was going to do a California load for Pinnacle this weekend, or during this week right now. I was going to fly down to LAX that first night and then take a run northbound. But then my buddy Joe reminded me of the fact that California right now, at the lowest gas price he's seen, is $5.85 a gallon, which would be 15 cents short of double what I'm paying now. And with these gas hog RVs, I wouldn't make any kind of profit when you do the math. It just, not for what they're paying. I mean, they were paying $1.07 to do it, and a little bit of a bonus, but even when you do the math, not worth it. So I told the guy, never mind, do California some other day when it's not so pricey, because I'm not that dumb. Because I could spend $100, and I could have just left that day of spend $100 and went the 2 days on the bus, and then went right to Pinnacle on that side over in Indiana and through Tennessee, and it would have paid $3 a gallon gas, give or take, you know. So to me it makes more sense to go there and run that for the profit than it would to go to California. Although one of these days I would like to go up the West Coast as a trip, because I've never done it yet, driving it. One day I would like to do that, and then it would see more of Oregon and Washington, because I think I would fly in LAX in Los Angeles, take a city bus over to the neighboring Riverside, California, and then I would pick up a box truck essentially and take it through California, through Oregon, and deliver up in Tukwila, I think you call it, as a suburb of Seattle. Then obviously would have just flown out of Seattle back to Chicago. But when you do the math, it just wasn't worth it. So anyway, instead of that, I decided to sit around and do nothing here for a couple days, because I can afford to do so. So I thought I would, and that's basically the gist of the updates at the moment. The plan is to go back there and, like I say, take a short run on, well, by short I mean like a couple days worth for Pinnacle on Monday, because Tuesday morning, which could possibly be all day, they said from 10 to 3, I've got to do virtual orientation for quality drive away. So I will have to fit that into the schedule for Pinnacle, and so basically I can't take a hot load that has to get there, you know, that day or the very next day. It has to be something that's been on the back burner for a while. And so I'm not going to be very picky. I might even just take a short run that's 200, 300 miles or something like that, as long as they let me get through the day of Tuesday some way or another. To be able to do that. The thing about signing on these new companies is they only have orientation on Monday and Tuesday, or just Tuesdays. Either way, it's just irritating, because if I have to take a load of the weekend and run over the weekend, they always deliver on Monday because they're not open on the weekends to deliver it at, and so I get screwed out of taking a longer weekend run every single time until I get these orientations done. But it is what it is, and then I have to spend money right now to make money. I have to spend money on the drug test and the orientations and stuff like that, depending on the companies. The other reason I'm making this video, and I'm going to start bringing it up more, you may notice an intro and eventually an outro on this video, and then my buddy Airplane 312 has his own channel. I suggest you go check his channel out. It's be in the description below when I get this edited. He and I were discussing making merchandise and being able to sell t-shirts, hoodies, there's like a glass on there, and stickers and stuff like that on teespring.com using a link that'll be provided down below for this channel. Some Grant Travels merchandise if you all want to support the channel, and it's a way to advance the channel out, and thinking of all sorts of different ways to get my name out there, I guess, or this channel name out there. And currently I'm at 765 or 770 subscribers, I believe. So I'm only about 330 off of 1,000, and 1,000 I would go back to being able to monetize the channel and get paid to do this YouTube creator stuff, and then obviously I would take the time to edit the videos and do all that if I was getting paid to do so. Not to mention you could buy better camera equipment. I was thinking about doing a GoPro and stuff like that instead of just using my phone. But I don't want to pour a bunch of money into a channel if it's not going to, benefit itself, in the long run. Not that I'm trying to eBay or anything like that. Mostly, I want to sign up to do that just to get my name out there, to have people be wearing my shirts and stuff like that. Eventually, that'd be sweet. Because then hopefully people walking by somebody wearing a shirt or a hoodie will go, "What's that about?" and whatever, and you can tell them what you've seen of me on YouTube, trying to show people that you can get out here in pennies a day even. And I still remember the day a long time ago when I was in front of a pop machine that was $1.75 and I had $1.68 on me, I think is what it was. And that day is when I had to laugh. I didn't have enough for a pop machine, but I was actually comfortable. At that time I wasn't scared to death, and I wasn't locked in, a slave to money, so to speak. That day I was set free. And that was during my Mazda trip, I think it was, way back in the day. And ever since then, 5 or 6 years now, I've been at it. And I was just thinking the other day that I've got the perfect job for me, because it's just flexible enough, taking these different RVs and box trucks and step vans and stuff like that to keep me interested in it, because it's a different experience every time. And then it's a different place you've dropped off every time. Your office view changes. You get an office cubicle view that's amazing, and compared to just being somewhere stationary. And then I get to pay for places like this that I like to stay at for a day or two. Yes, it can be extraordinary or expensive, extravagant, I guess, to have to pay $100 a night for a hotel. To other people who have a life and a house and kids and all that, to me, when I don't have something like that, I say, what's the point of doing that? What's the point of living somewhere miserable when I can be out exploring? If this is what brings you joy, this is what brings you joy, and so that's what I did. So, But it was my buddy Airplane 312's idea, so I would like you to go to his channel and subscribe. That he said, and I agree that we probably do need to start doing merch and have merchandise link and see how it goes. See if you're interested in buying hoodies, t-shirts, stuff like that. And here down the line, maybe a week or two or something, I might buy some myself and send them to me once I get the PO box set up in Goshen, so that I can retrieve stuff like that easier. Because right now the Goshen post office is charging me every time I have a third-party character like FedEx show up with packages. They have to, get money of their own. So I'm gonna buy a 6-month PO box there for that reason and other reasons, so I have a local Indiana residency, make life a little better. Hope I'm not making you busy going around with circles, but just like this chair. But, and then like I was saying, in a couple weeks when I do that and have a PO box ready to go, I might buy some of my own merch so that it gets sent out to me, so I could show you on the video what they look like as different shirts and t-shirts and stuff like that. But it's gonna be down the line here. I have to wait and do the PO box first. So eventually I'll have a PO box, and I know the address will be Goshen, Indiana, and the zip code will be 46526. But I don't know what the PO box number is yet because I haven't got it yet. But that's on the list to do on Monday or Tuesday, hopefully, when I get back there. Because I just think overall I'm going to need a local Indiana address. It'd be better. And I'm considering changing one of my phone numbers that I keep getting like a social security number scam thing that keeps calling you and saying that if you don't respond right now and do something, they're going to block your social security number. It's a scam. But they're calling like twice an hour, so that phone number's busted, so to speak. And they're calling from all sorts of different phones, before you say block that. Yeah, I can block the one number, but they call from all sorts of different local Montana phone numbers. Because I don't know, that my phone number got on some kind of list somehow, and I would guess that when I did my U.S. passport, my information got sold to somebody, because I haven't had a problem like that until I applied for the passport. So that's what I get for giving them a correct phone number in the passport, I guess. That would be my guess where it came from, but it could have come from anything. But anyway, I just want to mention it one more time that I will have eventually merchandise, and the reason behind it being to try to expand the channel and try to maybe get people to share my videos, like, comment, subscribe. Please share my videos to other people, other nomads who might, anybody else like your neighbor might say that I'd like to do this, but I'm too scared because I can't do this or I can't do that, or I have kids at home, so I don't want to plan to do this or do that. The people that I'm talking about out there that make all sorts of excuses. Tell them right now that there's a job that I'm doing currently that cost me a little bit for orientation. I think it was like $100 and something at the one deal, but for maybe a couple $100 up front. The trip to go to Elkhart or Goshen to get started, and as long as you're over 23 years old, you have a valid driver's license, you have a pretty decent driving record with hardly anything too extreme on it, but talk to one of the recruiters about it. But there's 10 or 15 different RV companies right there in Goshen and Elkhart, Indiana area that you can sign on to and basically start within a week or 2 weeks of when you call them up. And I would suggest downloading the Driver Pulse app, which if you already have driving jobs, you probably already had that app 2 or 3 times, and just put in RV drive away or RV transport underneath the search thing for the jobs, and a whole list of jobs will show up. Synergy's on there, Auto Driveways on there, a bunch of them. Horizon, I think, is on there. Bennett Driveways on there, a bunch of them. And doing motorized drive away, as long as you are not scared to pack a bag like I did and then fly back to wherever, you can go fly or take a bus or wherever to Elkhart, pick up an RV, take it across country to Washington like this, and then fly back or take a bus back or do whatever you want to, cheaper, expensive route to go back. And in the meantime, it'll basically pay for your trip, and it'll pay for your way back, and it pays roughly $400 worth of profit outside of your average cost of going there and back. You'll get like about $400 with a 4-day trip, so it ends up being about $100 a day roughly that you get in actual profit that you don't have to spend on anything That's outside of your food. That's outside of the fuel to get there. That's outside of the plane ticket or the bus back, or whatever. If you plan it right, it's all up to your planning. You can plan and get cheaper plane tickets, cheaper bus tickets, or train tickets back if you buy ahead and stuff like that. And you plan out your trip both ways. You plan out both the trip going there and what the fuel's going to cost you to get there, and the trip back if you have the money to do that. And you will have, because they advance you the money for the fuel, so you don't have to worry about that. But your first advance of 50% basically covers the fuel. So far I've taken four trips. I've taken 2 step vans and 2 RVs, and I could say except for this trip actually I had a $150 profit on that first half of the money that they sent you. But this trip was the most profitable yet, but most of the time the first half basically pays for your fuel and your food to get you there. And then once you deliver it, then they pay you the, whatever the portion is back. But on the average cost of it is, let's say it's 2,000 miles. Let's say they pay you $1,800, so they pay you $900. That's same higher end. And it costs you, I don't know, $800 or so to get there. You get a $100 profit of the first half, and then they send you the other $900 when you deliver. And then that's all yours to get back with. And you can choose a cheap route to go back with, and then you get however much profit of the deal as you can by choosing the cheaper routes of transportation to go back. You don't have to have a tow car. You don't have to go into tow away where you have that $60,000 or $80,000 pickup up front, unless you want to do that. But you can try and do this and be debt free, or try to be as close to debt free as possible, and still do this job of drive away pretty easy in basic steps of 1, 2, 3. And you're there. The only complications you will have with this would be your own complications at home. If you're still renting a house or an apartment or stuff like that, you might want to consider giving that up, putting stuff in the storage that costs less, or just selling everything and not having a storage or an apartment or anything. I literally live out of these 2 backpacks. Well, a backpack and a duffel, and they all fit in the one duffel if I really cram it in there. And I do that so that the duffel bag will fit in the overhead in smaller planes and buses and stuff like that. But anyway, I have a duffel right there that you can see, and literally everything I own is in that, and I'm fine with my life being that way. Some people maybe can't handle that. Some people are too much of a pack rat sometimes to handle it or whatever. But I tell you what, less stuff is more. Literally, the saying goes, less stuff is more freedom. And it literally is, because you have less stuff to keep track of. I have this one duffel to keep track of when I pack everything in there, and that's it. My system is I have 4 backpacks. Well, I have a backpack, a duffel, and 2 day packs, but they all fit in the duffel. And I want to try and keep it so that everything I own fits in the duffel or on me all the time. So anyway, links are in the description below for merchandise I'm going to put up. Airplane 312 is the one who mainly came up with the idea, but I totally support it. That way, need to do something to expand the channel altogether, get my name out there. Maybe if people see you wearing a hoodie or something, you can explain to them, yeah, come look at this guy on YouTube and watch how he does things, and he shows you how he can live on pennies a day even out here, and there's no excuse to be scared of this life, any kind of life, whether you go out expediting or RV transports, or you go work for Yellowstone National Park as a nomad, or you go buy a van and do the campground host type of jobs. There's other jobs out there that are, let's say, temporary, 4 months, 6 months, whatever, that will pay, that you work for 6 months and then you have the time off for the 6 months of the winter, or whatever you want to do that way. There's other jobs to do. Don't be scared of being able to go out here and travel, because here I am, 39 years old, and I feel like I'm retired. The driving job is a little bit of work, but not much, because you only drive 530 miles a day, which I can do in my sleep after doing expediting. Or they make you drive all day, all night. That's nothing compared to this RV transporting is nothing compared to expediting. And I totally like it because of the hours of service. You have to run e-logs, but people try to say that's horrible, but in truth, it keeps them from forcing dispatch on you. It keeps them from forcing such and such amount of miles on you, because you can only go 530 miles or whatever a day. Technically, you go about 600. If you really pushed it, I don't push it that much. I don't see a reason to. You're transporting something brand new like that out of the factory. There's no reason to drive. Well, sometimes I drive it in the evening if I have to catch up on my time or something, but the majority of the time I try to drive during the day, because there's no reason to drive overnight to risk wildlife and everything else. You know, you can go park the RV, live in the top overhead bunk thingy, you know, sleep in that over top. And, you know, you're technically not supposed to, but at the same time, all these RV transport companies know that for a fact that they would never get a driver if the driver has to pay for a hotel every night. It's just not feasible. So they let you get away with sleeping on top bunk. So you just sleep in the top bunk at the RV and drive it during the day. Do 2 days of that or 4 days of that or wherever long you want to go at your own pace, kind of, as long as you roughly get there in the time frame that it takes. You know, if they expect, let's say if it's going 2,000 miles, they expect you to get there by, you know, day 5, roughly. You know, and otherwise you're starting to live in it and not just transport it. They don't want you to live in it for a week or two to get there. They expect you to get there within a reasonable amount of time, but you can still have a day off, like I did the other day when I went to Miles City for a day. As long as you arrange it ahead of time with the dealer and the dealer's fine with that. Transport companies don't care. As long as your dealer that you're delivering to is totally fine with you showing up a day later, you know, you're your own boss in this deal. And I think it's an amazing deal because as long as I can afford to do so here, I'm sitting here for 3 days in a hotel. Yeah, I'm spending money, but it's my choice. It's totally my choice. You know, I'm not regulated to a job that I have to report to the very next day at such and such a time, you know, like 9 to 5ers. I can, you know, if I can afford it, I can decide, the hell with it, I'm going to take these 3 days off and then I'm going to ride the bus the 2 days back. Well, 1 full day and 2.5 days back across country. And I could have flown, and I looked at all the different options before deciding this. And I decided this is the better way to do it because I will actually kind of kill the weekend on the bus. And that was the idea, because I gotta wait till Monday to take out and outload. I could have done it on Saturday, but I don't have to deal with people not being there and may or may not have my paperwork. And then you have to deal with the lock and key at the lot and stuff like that when people aren't there to check the RV out. I'd much rather go when they're there. That way, we have another person to look at the RV with me and say, yeah, it was this way when they left. So they can't come after me for anything. But that's why I just don't check things out on the weekends. But it's not a big deal. Just saying, I love the new job that I have so far anyway. We'll see how it goes, you know, profit margin wise, if it's doable or not. So far it's getting better. This last run, like I said, I made 150 on the first half of the 50%. I was able to keep 150 profit up top of the fuel, and then of course all of the delivery side of it on the end I was able to keep in pocket, technically speaking. And then I could choose to buy this hotel for 3 days, or I could choose to just take the bus back or take the plane back or whatever I wanted to do. It was all my choice on whether I want to spend that money or not. It's fair that way, you know. So, but I like the idea of being my own boss. I have nobody to answer to. They don't come. The dispatchers never really call you up and nag at you or anything. It's kind of up to you to call them. They leave you on the Pinnacle one messages. They text you if you on the board, and you get to see the loads that are there, but nobody contacts you directly. And Synergy the same way. You know, they just wait for you to come back and do it again because they know, you know, eventually you'll show back up or you'll be done, one of you. But I like being my own boss. Nobody to answer to, basically. And you could just as easily come out here and do the same job. I have a couple friends from locally there in Miles City, Montana, that are thinking about doing what I'm doing, so that they can get paid to travel. So that was it on my video, just ranting away. Like and subscribe, leave comments below, check out the links below for the merch, and the links below for Airplane 312's channel. I'll get that all up. Hopefully you enjoyed the intro and the outro that I'm going to start using, because this is where the rubber hits the road. My lifestyle in pennies a day, even. Like and subscribe, leave comments, and now catch you on the next. Peace.